Hello everybody. Today we'll be looking at my top 5 favorite VS Code extensions in 2021. So in my top 5 extensions, I consider extensions that improve my quality of life when I'm coding, improve my ability to code, or improves my ability to debug my code. So with that being said, my number one favorite VS Code extension has to be Prettier. Prettier is an auto formatter for your code, and it supports many different language options, indentations, and other kind of linting styles that they provide. So if you are manually going into your code, for example, let's just say this right here, and afterwards, oh, this isn't indented properly, let's indent it. That is the slow way to do it. And for large files and large pieces of code, it almost becomes impossible to consistently follow a standard. So for that, we have Prettier enabled. For example, if you do this and then I hit save, it automatically formats for me. Break it up here, let's just say I want to have one long line of code for some reason. But this isn't the linting style setup, so when I press save, automatically it formats it correctly for me. So for that reason, Prettier is priceless to have. It saves me, I would say, hours, if not days in a year, formatting my code. It makes it more legible, easier to read, and it makes it consistent across all my projects. So number 2 and number 3 kind of go hand in hand, but they are different extensions. However, I find them using in conjunction to be really helpful for legibility of my code and helping me debug while I'm coding. So that would be Bracket Pair Colorizer, and use 2 because that's the one that's supported right now, and Rainbow Indent-Rainbow. So what these allow you to do, they're kind of self-explanatory in a certain way, but if you haven't used them before, it does improve the legibility quite dramatically. So as we can see here, each level of indentation has a different rainbow color. That's due to Indent-Rainbow. And then each pair of brackets have a different color as well too. And that's due to Bracket Pair Colorizer. So the more brackets we have, the harder it is to sometimes follow along the chain. You might have a scenario where, for example, and you're in a situation like this where you have multiple nesting, multiple brackets, and you want to either move a tag, delete a tag, change it around, swap it, something to do with the ordering and nesting of these tags. If you look at just the indentations, that might be a good starting point. However, with the different colors, it makes it very obvious which bracket corresponds to what. So if we were at the top of a file, let's just say we had a lot of space, and we knew we were moving all the blocks of code within the purple bracket to the left. So we come down here, oh, there's a purple bracket corresponding here to the left, so that must be the correct one. We don't have to check the indentation. We can quickly and easily see which is the correct depth for this nesting. And this is very valuable in general, but particularly when you're debugging or reading a code base for the first time. So coming in at the 4th position for me would have to be liveshare. So this allows you to have real-time collaborative development, as you can see from the tagline right here. But it can be also thought of as a way to pair program through your IDE itself. And this is particularly useful for remote teams, especially during the pandemic where all of us had to work remotely. One of the main benefits of liveshare, and I won't be able to enable it just because it's only me at the moment. However, when you're coding and you're working beside someone, you're able to pick up intangible knowledge because you're just seeing the way they operate, how they navigate the code base, what do they check, where do they look at, and these aren't things people usually are conscious of and are able to explain to you. So being able to see that live through their IDE and being able to follow them is a great way to be able to share knowledge across teams. So that's one of the benefits of just the way of gaining knowledge through being able to program with one another, being able to see each other's thought process. Another one is to be able to collaborate collectively. Traditionally, if you were to collaborate without liveshare enabled, you would probably have your own branch checked out, work on a feature, push that feature, someone else would then pull down that feature and take a look at it. However, that's a bit of a slow development process if you imagine 2 people needing to work on the same thing at the same time. And it becomes especially tricky if you're imagining 2 people not working on similar things, but 2 people working on the exact same thing. You might end up in a situation where you're just sharing your screen to somebody and they're just watching you code. They can't step in. You have to navigate their suggestions based on what they say, going to the correct line of code. It's very tedious and very tiresome. However, in a live share environment, you can quickly take over whenever you feel like so, or work on a separate portion of the code base altogether. So this is amazing for pair programming and in general for any kind of collaborative work. So at the number 5 spot, and this one might be more of a controversial one considering the criteria I mentioned at the beginning of improving my ability to code, improving my efficiency to code. However, when you're using the same workspace environment every single day or for every project, you want to make sure you actually enjoy it and like it. And one of the easiest ways to do that is by making it visually appealable to you. And it has a side benefit of if it's visually appealing and legible, you're more likely to be able to better navigate the features around it. So for that reason, at number 5 comes in Material Icon Theme or just Material UI. I don't currently have Material UI installed, but if you do, you can have a lot of these cool themes here. And to me, they are considerably better than the default theme. They stand out in color better, they are more appealing, and it makes for a better work environment. The second one that I do have installed currently, and I would highly recommend, is Material Icon Theme. So the icons that come by default in VS Code, they aren't bad. They're pretty decent, but it doesn't sometimes offer all the distinct file icons that you might be using. For example, like let's use third-party frameworks. This provides icons for pretty much any kind of file extension you can imagine, and in my opinion, the extensions and icons look considerably better as well too. So if you can look here, this is what my current icons look like with Material Icon Theme. And to me, these are much more visually appealing. It's easier to navigate, easier to see my folder structure. So a bit more of a fun or controversial, depending on how you look at it, opinion, but that would be a number 5 pick. So there we go. That just about wraps up my top 5 VS Code extensions. Just to kind of give a quick recap, and number 1 was Prettier, the auto formatter. Number 2 and 3 was kind of joined together but slightly separate with the Indent-Rainbow and Bracket Pair Colorizer for being able to quickly see the nesting depth. And number 4 was liveshare for collaborative development. And a number 5 was for visual appearance of the Material Icon Theme or Material Icon UI. So if you guys found this video helpful, please consider liking and subscribing, and see you guys next time.